Perseverance isn't pretending you're strong. It's trusting the one who really is. Hi, I'm Arnie Cole, your spiritual fitness researcher and coach. Welcome to Spiritually Fit Today podcast, where we always say the best way to become a stronger Christ follower tomorrow is to get spiritually fit today. One step, one choice, one spiritual rep at a time, because what you do today really matters. Our memory verse for this week is James 1:12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Well, we're back here with my buddy Reno Collier, the comedian, and we're talking about surrendering. And you know, you built up an audience as a comedian. Is that about the time that when you were becoming the most successful, as you also became the most out of control?
Internally, yes. It was weird, man, and I could never put my finger on it. I think a lot of it was, one, everything I thought that was gonna make me happy didn't, and that was extremely frustrating and probably hurtful. Two, when I started doing it for money, I lost my creative edge.
Say that, what do you mean? When you started?
So, it kind of got to where everything I thought about was, how much am I going to get paid for this? How much am I going to get paid for that? How much does that TV show pay? What am I going to do? How am I going to? So as I started to do that and make everything about my status in that business, I just fired off the track. It just shot me into an abyss. I didn't have the openness with Jesus to go to him. I would pray, that foxhole stuff, I get in trouble, I pray. Not a lot of thankfulness, not a lot of appreciation. And God was with me the whole time. I look back at it now and I'm like, that was God, that was God, that was God. And I was like, that was me, that was me, that was me. And you have people telling you things that you believe because you're so entrenched in it that, like, we're going to make so much money and you're going to do this and you're going to be able to go here. And what became important to me more than being funny was being in that world successful.
The American dream times 10.
The American dream, it was so stupid because, I was surrounded by extremely successful people. I mean, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron White, Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, those are the guys I was hanging out with and working with all the time. And so I was just told that I was going to step right into that and be doing theaters and arenas and all this. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. But then I forgot about what I was talking about in my stand-up. I was mailing it in. It was like, you guys are lucky I'm here. As twisted as that sounds, I felt like that. I felt like that when I walked into a room of people.
So do you think you were one of those guys that, I know my wife will say, I just think they're afraid of success? I mean, do you think that's what this was all about? You were afraid of success?
It could have been. When I look back at my life, I like to set things up and then knock them down. Like set up 50 dominoes, and my favorite part of it is
Knocking
and
it
watching
down.
them. Yeah. And I learned that in sobriety. Like, I have a lot of character defects that I was just shoving down. I'd lie, in order to get what I wanted.
Right.
If there was something that I saw nothing wrong with me lying to get it, because that's what everybody else was doing in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? You do what you can to get what you want, and it doesn't matter how you get from point A to point B. None of that mattered to me. I'd get into conversations with people, and the first thing I'd start talking about was my TV show.
Yeah.
And, my buddies were construct. They don't care. Hey, I got a TV. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nobody could relate.
No, they can't relate, but also I was being a jerk. Like, I didn't care what other people were doing. And I literally thought that I was better than other people. And I know that sounds twisted, but I did. Like, I was like, dude, when I first went into recovery, I think I've told you this. But when I first got in there, I was looking around at everybody and I was like, these guys are freaking hobos. I'm on television. I'm nothing like these people. Do they not know who I am? And 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh no, I'm exactly like these people. I just have a job that celebrates getting wasted. That's the only difference. I trashed a family. I trashed everything, not everything. I mean, I never got a DUI. It wasn't like that. But the way I treated people was horrific. And the way that I put myself above everybody else. I expected so much more out of other people than I was willing to give them, that it's so one-sided. There's nothing healthy in that. There's nothing that gives you peace. You know, you think it does. You think you leave a room and everybody goes, "Man, that dude has got it together." And that's not what they're saying. First of all, nobody thinks about you as much as you think they
Well,
do.
that's true.
And nobody cares about what you're doing as much as you think they do.
That's really
It's like
true.
it's like when you're a kid and you get a zit, and it's like, that zit is as big as my head, and then nobody says anything about it. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
in our minds, we magnify things, and it just put me in a really sad spot. And I also blamed everybody else for my problems. It was odd.
So they say alcohol is a crutch. How was it your crutch during this time of wild success?
I thought that I was living out my dream by being a hard partying comedian. That's what I wanted to do. Now, was I thinking about the fact that I was married and I had kids and I have responsibilities and I have this and I have that? Not so much. As a crutch, everybody expected, people used to send me shots all during my show. I mean, I did shows I don't even hardly remember.
Oh, you mean while you were
Like,
performing, they would
while
send
I'm on
shots?
stage, people would just walk up with shots and I'd do shots with them. Now, when we got in bigger places, I couldn't do that. But everybody knew I was drinking, and I wasn't drunk on stage, right? Like, I'd have a few beers and whatever, but by that second show, I was. So I'd forgotten about, I liked the attention and the feeling the crowd gave me more than I wanted to necessarily make them laugh. Like, when I got sober, people were like, "God, you're so much funnier." And I'm like, "What? It doesn't feel like it." And they're like, "Well, you're not laughing as much, but the crowd's laughing a lot more." Like, I would say stuff and I'd be laughing at my own joke. Like, it was probably odd to watch. Like, that guy's losing his mind.
Well, and maybe you were, you know.
And I was.
Yeah.
But the crutch of alcohol, in the beginning, I used it to kill my nerves
Hmm.
because I was so nervous.
Nervous.
I'd puke,
Yeah.
like, before a show when I first started doing stand-up. And a few drinks took that away. I had social anxiety going to an event.
So it truly was a crutch.
Absolutely. It was a crutch, and then the crutch would get me through that period. The thing is I used to think that everybody was drinking like I was. Like, I'd get up the next day and be like, "Man, we got hammered last night." And people are like, "No, you got hammered. I had 3 beers." And I'm like, "What?" And then I started thinking, "Oh, that's right, because I started drinking before you got there. Then you guys all left, and I stayed up by myself till 3 o'clock in the morning drinking."
Yeah. Addiction is just it's amazing. And on your podcast you go into detail some of the crazy things, from being so drunk ruining a wedding to swinging from the balcony at Larry the Cable Guy's birthday party. All of these things out of control. Let's talk a little bit now about the people in your life, like your mom, like Dan and Kara, people that persevered with you over time. Talk about that. Talk about them.
So I grew up going to church, forced, but I
Yeah.
got no problem with that. I have no good.
Yeah.
My parents were just trying. I mean, I believed in God, right? Like, I was like, I believe in God. And if you asked me if I believed in God, I would honestly tell you, yes, I did, right? And I did, but I didn't have a relationship with God. I wasn't honest with God. It was like I may pray to quit drinking when I was drunk, but during the day I never would, because I didn't want him to take it. I would pray, for me to get something. but it was with bad intentions. There are so many times that I should have been locked up. I mean, when we talked about this on one of the episodes of the podcast, I mean, I feel now for people that are in prison because could have wiped out a family and driving drunk.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many things that I could have done. I got mixed up with some bad stuff and bad people. And I can't sit here and say that I don't believe to my core that God didn't get me through that.
So, but what about the people around? I mean, you've talked about the lives you destroyed. There were people that stuck with you, that still are with you. What about them persevering with you? What does that say about them?
Well, I have a mother who I wish everybody could have. Solid, strong in her faith. She kind of had a hard time believing that I was an alcoholic.
Well, you're her perfect boy.
Well, I'm her perfect boy, but also I was a master manipulator and I could hide
Oh, really?
anything.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I could sneak shots and no one would even know I was in their house. I had it down and I knew how to maneuver, how to get what I wanted, that type of thing. But my mom prays for me every day and has probably since birth. My dad and I didn't get along always, but he's strong in his faith. My stepmom is too. My wife now is who I lean on, unbelievably forgiving and loving. Now, I don't want to say I ruined people's lives.
Right. People ruin their own lives.
I don't think that right. But I was a horrible example to people in my family, especially younger generations in my family that watched me on TV and then would see what I did in real life. And they probably thought like I did. That's the way you become successful. That's the way. I mean, I got TV deals done getting drunk with people, with executives from TV, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was part of it. Like they were like, "Oh my God," by the end of the night, they're like, "This is the greatest guy ever," blah, 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 whatever. And that was kind of the culture. But people, Dan and Kara, didn't bail on me. My closest friends from military school and college didn't bail on me. Now, a lot of these people also saw the progression. So there was probably empathy in there. And where they watched me go from high school, college to now. And most of them, not all of them, but a big chunk of them are either dead or in recovery. There's some guys that were never alcoholics that are still very dear friends of mine. I'd say 80% of them are in recovery.
Well,
And there's been suicide and, you're depressed and then you drink a depressant, and I was taking antidepressant, Xanax and all kinds of trying to, it was just a cycle of garbage that I bought into. And, the doctor told me, he was like, I was still drinking. And he's like, you probably have 5 years left until you're either going to die or need a liver transplant. And that was 9 years ago. So I decided that for the rest of my time on this earth, it's bonus time. And the only thing I can think of to do is take the trash dumpster fire that I created and try to help other people not have to go through it and suffer. Now, I don't have all the answers, but God does.
oh, yeah.
And I don't want anyone to think like, you watch Reno and he's going to change your life. No, I'm not. I can't save you. I couldn't save myself, but God 100% can. And he gave you a mind, he gave you a heart, he gave you a soul, he gave you hands, he gave you feet, he gave you people around you who are like little angels that can help guide you. But no person can get somebody else sober or keep them sober. I work with people and they've died. I can't do it. It's not me. And I just decided that it means a lot more to me to mean a lot to a few people than a little bit to a lot of people. And that has helped me kind of get my vision going the right direction. And all of that leads to God. And I know for sure there are people out there that are watching this going, I know that dude, that's not him. I'm fine with that. And if I did you wrong, reach out to me and tell me what I did and let's work it out if you want to. But I will tell you with 100% certainty that I would not be sitting here if it weren't for God and the people that he put in my life.
Okay, Reno, we got 2 more shows to go, so we're going to wrap this one up today. It's just amazing how people have persevered with you and stayed with you through the hard times. And we're going to talk about tomorrow about how God persevered pursuing your heart. So come back tomorrow when Reno's here, when we talk more about this thing called perseverance. And our soul pump assignment for today is, who stood by you when you were at your lowest? Reflect on how they didn't give up on you, and then consider who might need you to stand by them. That's a big, big thing. We're not in this thing alone. And then the one big thing to do is reach out and thank those people who stood by you. Maybe write them a note, send them a text, or just give them a call and thank them for being by your side. Our prayer today is, Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for those people have encouraged and supported me throughout my life. Open my eyes to someone who needs my help and empower me to stand by them. Our Benzie quick quiz question, I asked about the New Testament guy who disowned Jesus and then he found forgiveness. And that guy was Peter. It's amazing. He was the cornerstone of the church. Today we're talking about being persistent in doing good. So my question is, what man continued praying to God 3 times a day, even after being ordered to stop? Think you know? Leave a comment, or better, write at arnie.cole@bttb.org, and maybe even give me an answer and a prayer request. And if you don't know the answer, you can do the prayer request or a comment. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. If you love the discussion today, Reno's got his own podcast called Alive and Sober with Reno C. It talks about all those nagging addiction challenges that people are faced with, and it's a tremendous opportunity to have hope brought back into your life. So we challenge you to join Reno each and every day on his podcast, and that's Alive and Sober with Reno C. So before you rush back into your day, remember, spiritual fitness isn't about perfection, it's about showing up daily. So celebrate the step you took today, because what you do today truly matters. And if this podcast encouraged you, share it with someone who needs a little hope and strength. Join us tomorrow for another Spiritually Fit Today workout, because what you do today truly matters, and tomorrow you'll be glad you did.